There is a strange kissing clip that has been posted, and this could potentially cause a lot of problems. We also have the photographer who allegedly leaked V and Jennie holding hands, now believed to have confirmed something else, what that is about. And then we have a JK and Jimin holding hand clip that people have been talking about as well. Say Dumplings, it's Dave Disci. Let's get into it. There have been quite a few clips that have been going on online that are AI clips of two people kissing or whatever. And this particular clip that I am talking about is with RM and Jennie. Now, this is not an isolated incident, and I'm not necessarily trying to pick on this specific video or this specific account, because this is something that is widely happening in the industry, and sometimes it's with videos where you can't tell if it's AI. Some of these are so good that I think some AI softwares now have a built-in thing where if they are producing an AI image and it's of a real person, it's supposed to look a little bit more cartoony and a little bit more glossy, and that is how you're able to tell that it's not a real person. But this type of technology is so new that it takes a long time for the law to catch up to it. Being an influencer or being a YouTuber who sells products has probably been around for a decade at this point, and the FTC has just caught up to it to the point where now, if you don't disclose a sponsorship or whatever, it's against the law. So we can expect that going forward, there's going to be a lot of AI content that will come out that is unethical, and those laws would later follow a decade later. But it would take a long time for the laws to catch up to it. And aside from that, politicians would just rather work on other laws that they seem to think are more urgent. This particular clip that we are looking at of RM and Jennie, you can very much tell that it's fake because the faces of both of these people are morphing. And this particular AI software or whatever that is doing it is not as good as some of the other ones. Also, of course, video is harder to make than just a photo, and I think that that's fine. And when you can tell and you know it's supposed to be a joke or it's supposed to be goofy or whatever it is, this is absolutely fine. I'm not trying to come for this particular account, but I think it's interesting how a lot of people have been using AI in this way. It's to the point where we don't know what's real and what's fake, and it's going to end up being someone actually doing something bad and then just blaming it on AI, saying, oh, I didn't do that. That was a made-up AI thing that did that. And you can't even do what you were to do in the past, which is say, oh, well, if you didn't do it, how come this is your backdrop and this is the same backdrop as all of your other videos, or this is the same house that you normally live in, so this must be you, because AI can do that now too. So it definitely raises this question of what is actually real in the online space and what things are fake. It also raises this question of what is considered ethical in the digital space to do, and if it doing something like this when dating or whatever is considered a scandal, and an AI software could easily make RM and Jennie look very realistic and actually make it look like they're kissing. Is this actually ethical when you make two people kiss when very much they could have a scandal from this? What's stopping someone from creating an AI video of one of the BTS members murdering someone or doing something really bad? Now, with that going viral, that's a whole other thing, right? Because now the police have to get involved to investigate and see if it's true or not. And now the artist has to then take time out of their busy schedule to participate in this investigation when they never did any of that stuff to begin with. And it gets harder and harder, as I said, to see what's actually real and what isn't. One of the things that people have been talking about recently was a moment that was not too long ago where you see JK holding onto Jimin's hand. This was a cute moment because it is following the recent reality show that came out, and people are thinking that the two are dating, and now some of these old moments are coming back to surface, with some people thinking that this is confirmation. Now, if you don't know what's going on or what this clip is, basically the BTS boys did an interview not too long ago, and I guess people were making the assumption that the interviewer was making the boys a little bit uncomfortable. JK in return then grabbed Jimin's arm, and you can see that in some of the screenshots that have been floating around. This is interesting because it's weird to assume that just because someone is holding someone's hand, or in this case, holding someone's wrist, that they're romantically involved with each other. You don't know what they're thinking, or if this is a particular moment that JK and Jimin had talked about before the interview, and JK was like, oh my god, this is happening right now, and was just trying to bring Jimin's attention to it, or he was feeling stressed and he needed support, which you can lean on your friends for. I have absolutely no problem with the idea of two people being together. I think what actually bothers me a little bit is the fact that some of these things are so outlandish. It almost feels like some of these people who are saying this aren't actually in a relationship themselves, because some of these points that they make are pretty general things that people do with their friends. If there is evidence like them kissing or them making kissing sounds and you see them right after and you hear those kissing sounds, those are not exactly pieces of evidence that I talk about here too much on this channel, because those are things that I can't really disprove, right? I can't really say, oh, it was edited, or I can't really say any of that stuff because I don't know. So anyone's free to believe those moments are real or not. However, the moments I am talking about are moments that feel a little bit outlandish and shouldn't actually be used as examples. It almost brings down the whole argument. So while there are people who are making a little bit more valid claims that make a lot more sense, the fact that claims like this exist, it makes those more valid claims seem less valid. And you can tell that the community tries really hard to make sure their English is perfect, make sure that their writing is perfect, make sure that they back everything up with facts. But they often don't do any of those things, but then they act like they do. And I think that that actually bothers me more than anything else. Because half the time when I'm reading something from the community like this, and of course I don't mean you guys watching, but just the community in general as a whole, sometimes I see things where I'm like, oh, why would an adult write something like this? Or an adult really wouldn't talk in this style. Of course, there are always going to be people saying things. There have been a lot of rumors recently that have gotten a chance to sort of unravel now since the BTS boys have stepped out of the spotlight. A lot of the debunking of rumors and whatever that had come out kind of had an option to take time to surface. Not too long ago, there was a little bit of a controversy involving V and Jennie and them being spotted on a date, allegedly holding hands and on a date. People matched up the outfits and just the general silhouette of the two, and they matched it up with moments later, like an hour or two later, where you get to see the same two people wearing the same two outfits. However, in the video that we see of the two holding hands, we can't really see their faces, but later we see them separately with the same outfit and with their faces. So we assume that those are the same people. Now, the photographer had confirmed the moments and officially came out and confirmed that who they were seeing was indeed V, and that they truly stand by that. When he took the picture, the photographer, I don't think he was aware of how controversial the idea of two people in K-pop dating. So I don't think he thought it was a big deal, and I definitely don't think he was expecting the mass amount of death threats and horrible comments that it got. There were definitely a lot of people who were screaming that if V and Jennie were together, they both should have their privacy and that their privacy should be respected. And I'm sure a lot of those comments were actually real. However, there definitely is a whole subset of people that are saying that, but the only reason why they're saying that is because they don't want to see the two date. So they're just like, I don't want to see it. I want to pretend that he's single. I want to pretend that I'm dating him. And so I'm going to send death threats to anyone who breaks that bubble of mine, because otherwise, why do they care so much? It makes sense to send death threats if it's something that you personally feel hurt by. It makes no sense to send death threats to someone who you do not know. We see killers on the news all the time, but I personally don't take time out of my day to send them death threats because I don't know them and I don't know the victims. So I just read the story, I feel bad, and I move on with my life just like everyone else. Now, you might argue and say, well, I know V, I know all of the BTS members, but the truth is, we all don't. We should read these things and watch these things as they unfold. We should be upset. We can call the police if we're scared something will happen, just like how we'd call the police if we saw someone break into a home. We can do a bunch of things, but to send death threats, that's never okay, and that shows me that the person is not mature and not mentally stable. Now, some people have been saying that since V and Jennie have now been allegedly confirmed and they are allegedly fully dating or have dated, that Jimin and JK have now been confirmed dating because now V is out of the equation, right? It's proven allegedly that he's not gay. This is some of the strangest things I've seen online. Just because someone is dating someone else does not mean other people are gay. That means nothing. It's not like if V and JK are not dating, the only other person JK could possibly date in the world is Jimin. Like, that makes no sense. It does not correlate. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks to this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.